What's going on, everybody? Mike here from Ace Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with another episode on this next-gen Integra. Now, in the last episode, we were able to finally fit our Vossen gloss black HF5 with a set of Netto NT 555 G2 tires. Then we moved forward with a full Mugen exhaust system from Kane Motorsport. Then we finished off with a Koya Red high-performance radiator. And on today's episode, we're gonna have to take a bunch of stuff off this engine bay. Now, before we do that, let's go on to that table and see what we got.
All right, so we're at the big step in this whole build. Everything else has been pretty much bolt on. This is internal. So we're gonna be stepping up and putting a Action Stage 1 2OS or OS2, something along those lines. A carbon Kevlar copper composite full face disc with enclosed springs with a heavy duty pressure plate and a lightweight, not necessarily an aluminum lightweight, but this is a chrome moly, lighter than stock setup. This is one they recommend for our setup. We also have a nice PRL clutch line, you know, race car stuff. And this is pretty much our setup today. We're gonna give it a shot and see how it goes. I did a little research into these. It's looking like this is good to hold 350 horsepower, which we'll never get there with this car. I think we'll get close to 300 and that'll probably be right where we want to be. We're not here to break any records with it. We just want to see the most that we could tune the car and have it be reliable. So that being said, this clutch, after we talked to Action, they said this is going to be perfect for our full bolt-ons and everything that we want to do with it without being too aggressive. Also, so this here, like I was saying before, is a chrome moly setup. It comes with the bushing already inside of it. This is heat treated and balanced up to 18,000 RPM, so we're never gonna have the flywheel fall off of it. If you say that never happens, I've seen the clutch come apart on a B20 VTEC CRV and it does quite a bit of damage. So hopefully we won't have any problems like that with this. This should have a little bit more than stock feel as far as pedal pressure goes, but I think we're gonna be just fine with it. Hopefully it's gonna be right around FK8. That's what we're looking for, the way the FK8 Type R clutch feels, because that's holding up to 400 horsepower right now. So this is our first step in this. We're gonna see how far we can get today. Today's gonna be disassembly. We're gonna have to do some work over here as far as removing our air box, removing our strut bar, removing our battery, and maybe our charge pipe right over here. We have our engine support hanger set up here. That's gonna mount right up, sit on our front cross member here, mount to our struts, and we have a special little hook. Let me grab it. This is the Honda Special tool. It's got a little part number on there too, and this will attach to the motor, and the hook from this will hold it up, and this will support our motor when we remove our subframe. So I believe our first step is gonna be underneath the hood. When I do clutch jobs or transmission jobs here at the dealership, I try and go up and down as few times as possible. So I think our first step is gonna be getting this all ready, our engine support on, then we'll disconnect our steering column because the rack is on the subframe. Then we'll take the wheel suspension apart, drop the subframe out of this bad boy, and then we'll be right on to the next step. All right, so with the battery out and the intake, you really get a good look at what we got going on here. We have a bunch of harnesses and connectors we have to remove. We're not gonna have to take off this intake pipe. I think we got more than enough room to work on it. We still have to remove this evap solenoid here and this plate to get access to where we need to hang the engine from. But over here, we also have our shift linkage. We're gonna unbolt the bracket from the transmission. We're gonna remove these clips, and then we'll get all that out of the way. Once we get all the harness off of it and the shift linkage off, then we can work on taking and getting the whole engine and transmission hung up so we can remove the subframe. So let's start by removing all the harnesses off of the transmission and the shift linkage. So we moved some of our evap purge solenoid and a couple brackets out the way and exposed this spot right here on the head. That is the factory point where we're supposed to install the tool, and that's where we're going to support the engine. So let's go ahead and try and get this in here without dropping it. Man, how do you do that, Mike?
That's what I do. So this is the part where I let Mike go ahead and get in because his body has been designed to fit into tight places. Me, not so good at fitting into there, but Mike, he's perfect at it. So what he's doing is he's disconnecting the steering column from the rack. The rack is attached to the subframe and will come out with the subframe. So we need to disconnect this link here. There's usually one 10mm bolt, and then you just slide the column right off of the pinion of the rack, and that's it.
All right, so we have our splash shield down. It opens up everything. It also opens up the beautiful PRL 3-inch downpipe with the PRL mount here. And you can also see our catted downpipe. It's looking very, very nice. Whoever installed it definitely knew what they were doing.
Thank you, John.
Oh, that was all you. I forgot about that. So we're taking a look here, and it looks like we're probably going to have to remove this pipe here because we can't get these bolts out. These are transmission bolts here. So we'll remove the front pipe. That'll allow us to remove our motor mount. Then we can disconnect our steering rack, which is in this little hole here. We got 2 plugs. Then after that, we'll start removing the subframe. The subframe is something I haven't seen before on our Acuras. Is there's like a bracket that grabs onto the frame here. Usually it's just bolted in here, but this has this whole bracket, so that's pretty interesting. But I guess on this side, we have our outer tie rod end, very easy bolt-in lower ball joint, and our sway bar link. Once we get those out, we have this bolt here, this bolt here, and the one back here as well, and this guy. All these hold the subframe in. With the engine support, we should be able to lower this right on out of here with our subframe jack. The thing I'm noticing, which is pretty interesting about this, is the front is really only connected by this thin bracket in here. Normally our subframes wrap all the way around, but this is just a clip to hold, or I should say a bracket to hold up our splash shield. So there's no support heading across the front here. So this thing should be pretty simple to come out. I think we're gonna go ahead and start disconnecting stuff and get it on out of here. All right, so we have the transmission fluid draining. We don't want to have a mess here. When we take our axles out, you would be able to have fluid come out of there. But as you can see, with the subframe down, it really opened up a lot of room on this. And this motor is very, very tiny. And it fits in here just nice and snug. So where we're at right now with the subframe out is we need to remove our axle from their immediate shaft. Once we remove that, we remove our intermediate shaft. We have these bolts here, our bottom starter bolt, another bolt that's hidden way up here to get out, our other axle. And I think we still got to deal with lower the motor down a little bit so that we can get our engine mount off the top here because it's kind of stuck on these studs. And then after that, just a few more bolts. This transmission's off. I think we'll have it out of here pretty soon. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
That's right, it's because we're good at what we do.
I'm good at what I do.
Well, you know, you're good, and just from me being around you, it makes me better. All right, so with the transmission down, we can take a look at the clutch. So this clutch, from what I understand, is not a dual mass clutch like some of the SIs were with a similar drivetrain. This is a regular flywheel on here, but we can see our pressure plate, our clutch disc inside, and our flywheel. So we also have this held in by 12.10s. We're gonna go ahead and release these in a cross pattern, remove our pressure plate, remove our clutch disc, and then we'll see what holds our our flywheel onto the crankshaft. So let's see. Brand new, 3,000 miles. And I'm changing my clutch, that's not broken. I love this stuff.
All right, so we got the flywheel out of the way, and now John got both the action clutch flywheel and also stock flywheel. We're gonna weight it and see how much lighter is the aftermarket flywheel. What do you say, John?
I'd say it's definitely lighter, but I think maybe only a pound or two lighter, but we'll see. I have no idea what the stock one weighs.
Okay,
So
well, we'll
we
find
have
out
our
right now.
High precision calibrated shipping scale over here. We've used it to weigh everything that we can put our hands on, and now we're gonna use it to weigh this. So let's
Here we go.
19 on the dot.
Okay, whopping 19 pounds.
Oh yeah.
All right, so next up we got the action flywheel.
About
16.6, so
yeah.
about 20% lighter. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you know what? It's better than nothing. What it should do is help with the revs a little bit more. And what it's not going to do is give me issues when the AC cycles. When you have too light of a flywheel, it takes too much of the rotating mass off of the engine, and it kind of hurts with the momentum of the motor. So this is going to be a nice happy medium. This would be the equivalent of putting a Type R flywheel on a B series transmission. Those are like those were just a little bit lighter than stock, but not as much as an aftermarket. So that's a pretty good comparison to it. We're doing Type R weight. All right, so now it's time to put on our flywheel. This already has a pilot bushing in it, so we don't have to do anything in regards to that. So now we just need to get it on here. All right, so it's time to put the disc in. We have our clutch alignment tool. It tells you right there, flywheel side, so you can't mess up. Take this bad boy, get it right into place there, nice and tight. Now we have to put our pressure plate on in the right location. In the center, there's a pin. I like to put little Loctite, put some on the flywheel bolts going into the crank bolts going through the flywheel. Sorry, I don't even know what I'm saying here. And I also like to put them on the pressure plate 10s. I use the low strength blue Honda Loctite because we only use Honda high quality stuff around here. We're gonna go ahead and get all these started and then torque them down step by step. So what I'm doing is I'm putting some of this super high temp grease on the area where the release bearing rides. And then I put some on the input shaft here, just so when we go to slide it in, it helps it line up a little easier. A little bit of lube always helps in the situations. And we also want to make sure that we have lubrication on the pivot ball that the fork sits on, which this already had plenty of lubrication from the factory. I'm just not used to changing clutches on cars with only 3,000 miles on it, I guess.
Motor together. Yeah. Those are the only two things.
All right, so we just finished up. We installed the subframe. We have the clutch in here. We got the the front pipe on. We got hooked up. Everything's ready underneath here for the most part. We still got to put our slave cylinder on here and our clutch line. But right now we're going to go ahead and fill our transmission with some new Honda MTF. So on this car, the drain is here. We showed you guys that when we first drained the system out. I want to make sure, I'm going to go through this and retighten it, make sure everything's tight there. There's a fill up on the top. This right here is our fluid level. This is a 10mm bolt. We already loosened it. It does have a crush washer on it, so you want to make sure you don't lose it or replace it when you do this. Now what we're going to do is go to the top and fill it with fluid till it overflows out this hole. Once it overflows out this hole and it comes out just as a light drop, that's when we put this back in and it's filled to the proper spec. There's I don't know, our TSX, our V6, a lot of transmissions are like this. That's the procedure. It's not that difficult. It's even easier with our airbox out of the car. So let's go ahead and put fluid in the top. So now it's coming out as a drip. That means we're pretty good where we are right now. So we're going to go ahead and put our bolt back in. Make sure the washer's on there too. If not, we will get a leak.
All right, guys, looks like everything coming along. We don't have a whole lot to do before we finish this up. Now, before we put it back, we just got a special package from Hybrid Racing beside the shirt that he's wearing, which makes him look very, very handsome. What do we have here, John? Ooh, we got, two packages, huh?
We have two things here. We got Hybrid Racing sent us their Detent spring kit, and this is for Civic Si, 1.5 turbo transmissions and FK8. This works on both of those. These go in place of the factory Detent springs. They're a lot stiffer than the factory ones, and what this is going to do, it's going to eliminate that side-to-side play, feeling loose. It's going to tighten that up, and a little bit on the forward and back. These go in replacement of this. Now, wish these would have came in yesterday, but I'm not complaining. We're probably going to lose a little fluid. We might have to re-top it back off, because these are a little bit below the fluid line in the transmission. So we got those to put in. And then we also have something that's pretty cool. Everyone's seen upgraded shifter bushings for any car with a cable linkage. Hybrid Racing's been putting those out for a while. This is a next generation one. I don't have a whole lot of information on it. I just know it doesn't match anything on the web page. This one is constructed of a plastic, like a Duralon, I believe, material. It looks like it's a pretty simple plug and play. This replaces the rubber bushings that are in the factory shift cables. This is the other one. This has a aluminum core with this plastic around it, or Duralon, I should say. And we've seen these before. They're like a big metal aluminum piece, but this one's a little bit different. This is supposed to be their new design. It's patent pending on the way. So this is one of the first ones that has gone out. So we're gonna give this a try, see how it is. It also comes with some lube here and some nice, what do you call these things? Little keys, little pins that go in place there. That's very cool. And we do have our PRL stainless line. This we had, but this is another part we're gonna put in right now. So these are here. We're gonna go ahead and show you how we put them in, and we're gonna tell you what we think about them.
So what's the first step?
First step is gonna be to raise the car up, and we're gonna deal with these. We're gonna see how much fluid we're gonna lose. Hopefully we can swap them out pretty quick and get it done. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, so this is our first Detent spring. It's right here on the side. It's a 12mm bolt. I'm gonna go ahead and crack it loose. with the smallest ratchet ever. So at the end of these springs, there is a ball bearing, and that sits on a shift rod. And this spring adds pressure onto it. And that's what gives you the feel when you go into gear. That click into gear, and what holds it into gear are these springs. So let's see what we have in there. The ball stayed inside. We don't need to worry about that. So this is our factory spring. You can see that not only is it shorter, but the spring material on this, how's that squeeze? Oh, that thing, here, yeah, I can't even barely squeeze this one.
Wow.
So yeah, it's definitely significantly stiffer. So installation's easy. There we go.
You know, the other good thing is, John,
What's
we didn't
that?
lose a drop of fluid.
Yeah, you know, I was wrong when I was saying that. Like I said, we're kind of learning on this situation too. And this is a new transmission and drivetrain to our brand, to Acura. So this may have been around for a little while with Honda, with the SI and Civic and whatnot. And I think even the Accord came with this motor, the 1.5 liter turbo. So like I said, to us it's new, so we're learning how to do this stuff with you guys.
So this is all done here.
Yeah, this one's done. We got one more to do up top. Let's see how the access is to that. The motor mount looks like it's kind of in the way, but we haven't looked at it from the top yet, so let's take a peek. Here's our second one. It's down here next to the shifter mechanism. It looks like we have just enough room to fit a ratchet in place. Let's take a peek here. Yeah. This one I may have to use a magnet to get the spring out because of how it's sitting. We'll see. I hear a race car. Oh. And that's our second spring. This one's easy. We'll just go ahead. There, you can kind of see the ball bearing there.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. All right, so we have our detent springs installed. It was a super easy install, especially with the splash shield off. I was looking here, I mean, maybe with the battery tray in, it may be a little bit more difficult, but if you had your intake off, it'd be easy. Even if you lower the bottom shield, 1, 2, 3, super easy, and you feel this whenever you touch the shifter. So this is an awesome mod because you get to feel it every single time. So now we're gonna go ahead and do these. We're gonna go ahead and put these shifter bushings in. We pop this piece out like that. Then I think we just moved this piece right on through. I don't know. Our detent springs and our shifter bushings on our cable out here are all changed out. We hopped in the car real quick and it is noticeably stiffer on all of the movements, and when it engages in the gear, it's a lot more like, I don't know if it's a notch or agreeable, but you feel it. It goes in the gear and it feels like it's in there, it's not gonna come out. Not that there was a problem with that before, but that feeling has increased. And I bet when we drive it, we'll get to feel a little bit more. After we break the clutch in, we can slam some gears. But next, we're gonna mount our slave cylinder and replace this soft line with the stainless line that PRL sent us. We're gonna go ahead and install this, then we're gonna have to bleed it. We were taking a look over here and we noticed that the master cylinder, it's a plastic unit, so that means cost is probably pretty cheap on it, and it doesn't have a separate reservoir. It actually feeds off of our brake reservoir. So I think we'll have plenty of fluid in there for the quick bleed job that we're gonna have to do. We just gotta be sure to top off our brake reservoir afterwards because we don't wanna be low on fluid. So we're gonna go ahead and mount this up, and then we're gonna go underneath and change the line out. It should be pretty easy that way.
All right, so we got a clutch line installed. Next up, we're gonna have to bleed the clutch system. And what are we doing?
So what I did now is I took the little dust cover off, and it's an 8mm. We're gonna put our line wrench on here, crack it open, make sure we have our pan underneath it. And then we're gonna let it gravity bleed a little bit. And then we're gonna do a traditional pump it up and then open up the valve and flush the air. The good thing is we already have, just by gravity bleeding, up to right here, there's no air in the system. So we really only have to bleed this very short period. It's not gonna take much. It's already dripping out of here. So we're gonna go ahead and close it off. Then I'm gonna have Mike go inside and pump it, and then we'll open it up.
Okay, so I'm on the inside. What are we doing? Just, oh man, I got good pedal feel already.
Yeah, because I think it's already, it doesn't even need much. We're only gonna do it 1 or 2 times.
Okay, I'm down.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'll put it back up. Pump. I'm down.
I think we're good.
All right, so John got everything put back together.
Oh yeah, it's
with
good.
my supervision.
You know, Mike, without you, none of this is possible.
Okay, next up,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think I'm personally going to do a startup, not you. I'm going to do it.
You better get in there and start it up. Let's see what happens out here. Yes.
Hey, John, tell you what, man. The clutch and the shifter are feeling really, really good, man.
It is, and I mean, I didn't get to feel it yet. You were the lucky man too, but honestly, I just want to get this done so I can drive the car.
And we don't have a whole lot going on. We got a splash shield, we got the wheels and the strut bar and the four-wheel alignment, and we all done.
That's it, I'm ready for it, let's go. All right, so since we had the subframe out, we're definitely gonna have to adjust our toes. Not everything ever goes back in the same exact position. There's play on your subframe. That's also how you're able to make small adjustments on the car. So our front is pretty well out of whack. We also haven't aligned this car since we installed the suspension, and it looks like my rear has gone out of spec a little bit. So we're gonna start in the back and just tighten up these right here. We don't have a camber kit, so we're not gonna worry about that. Once we get these dialed in, we'll move up to the front and be on our way. We just finished up the alignment. All of our toes are dead on spec. I said we have a little camber stuff we have to deal with eventually, but we're working on getting a camber kit for the rear, and there's a couple little tricks we can do to modify it in the front. But for right now, everything looks good. And now we got to put 500 miles on the car and see how it actually drives. That's the next part.
All right, guys, here we go. First test drive. Can I do a full send, John?
Not yet. You're not allowed to. We got to break it in. I don't want to change this clutch again, Mike.
Yeah, we got to take it easy. But I tell you what, the initial impression, the shifter definitely a lot more notchy.
Yeah.
And
you know it's in gear.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely a lot more pedal feel.
Yeah, it's heavier, right?
Yeah, but the engagement's the same. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drives good, man. Now I feel a lot more like a sport compact car.
Yeah, right? Now we're ready. We're ready to get it. Can't wait till it's broken and we can turn the boost up on this bad boy.
Well, you can spend some time behind the wheels because you got to put at least, what, 400 or 500 miles on this?
Yeah, they call for 500. They said 500, keep it under 4,500 RPMs. And if you can keep it out of boost, then I don't really know how you're supposed to drive this car without being in boost, so.
Yeah, I can't really give you guys a full impression on this clutch yet. Obviously, it's not broken in, but once John put a few hundred miles on it, we can give you guys a little bit more information on this here. And also, right after that, we're going to be taking this car to the dyno and get some numbers.
Yeah, a lot of you guys been asking for power numbers on some of the mods, and you know, and we're going to put on the dyno. We're going to find out what it does without the tune on it, like stock with the mods, and then put the tune on it, do some stuff like that, give a bunch of different options, and you know, see how the numbers hold up. That way, if anyone ever has questions, they can just refer back and see.
Absolutely. Let's go and head back to the shop.
Don't send it, don't send it, don't send it.
I'm not sending it. All right, guys, so we're about 2 weeks later and about, what, about 600 miles?
I'd say just about 600 miles.
Man, this guy drive a lot.
I mean, it's fun to drive.
So now the clutch is completely broken in, and what is your impression on this?
So, engagement is like stock. The pedal feel is very heavy. I mean, I don't know about very heavy, but it's much heavier than stock. Stock is very, very light. So overall, other than you having to put a lot of pressure down when you're sitting at neutral with the clutch in, it feels great. It grabs awesome. There's no slip. And if you're driving pretty aggressive, it'll chirp third gear every once in a while, maybe.
Ooh, you get a little exciting, huh?
I am not known to drive easy.
You know, I tell you what, when I drove the car initially when we first finished the clutch, like you mentioned, because of the heavier duty pressure plate,
Yeah.
it is stiffer, but you know the funny thing is, I can never understand, the engagement is completely the same.
Yeah, it's the same as stock. I think that has to do with the full face disc. And I noticed, you know, some of the stock ones, they have like 6 springs or 4 springs. And I don't know, just maybe it's the whole construction and what is it, Kevlar copper,
Yep.
I think, hybrid material on the disc material. It's like a stock clutch with a heavy pressure plate, which is a lot like what you like in our other builds to do. So
Right, one thing I do want to touch on is the flywheel. So
Yeah.
this is about 20% lighter than stock. Do you feel anything when the AC is on, say, in idle?
everything feels the same. The only thing I feel is from our motor mount, I get that a little bit of vibration sometimes, but not too much. Everything feels like stock. With that little bit lightness, I can barely feel any difference. I feel the car's a little peppier because it's a little lighter overall, so the rev is a little happier. But other than that, I mean, she's solid. It's
I
awesome.
know in a few weeks we'll be taking a trip to Tennessee's and tell the dragon. I can't even catch my words because I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too, man.
You think the car's ready for that, John?
I got a couple more things that I got to do. I feel like it may not be necessary, but you know, I want to. We'll do it. Call it our dragon prep.
Oh, dragon prep.
A little
I
bit
like
of dragon
that.
prep. I
like
have.
that.
I'm thinking about the brake fluid, some brake lines. I think we
Stainless
have,
steel?
Yeah, stainless steel lines, and I think we got a shift knob, and I think it's time to see about tweaking the tune on the car a little bit. And also, I picked up an OBD2 gauge, so I can see this car. The only thing that I'm a little lackluster is there's no boost gauge on it, So I want to know what the boost levels are at, and it's a neat little gauge I got for it. So that's about what I'm thinking.
You're a Rice boy.
I was born and raised a Rice boy, Mike.
So tell the Dragon,
Yeah.
classic Honda on the Dragon. This is their 7th year.
Yeah, 7 year. We went for the 6th year last year.
I didn't go, so
Yeah.
this year I'm gonna be out there. I think it's gonna be great.
You're gonna take this thing around the mountain, right?
Now let's talk about the Tower of the Dragon. I never been there.
Yeah.
From the top to the bottom, how many miles?
I'm not good on the numbers.
Dave was telling me that
Yeah,
today. and,
David knows all the
how many
numbers.
turns?
So
and
there's
all
like
that good
200 and something turns within so many miles. Let me tell you this: once you start, you're turning till you end, and it's really second gear, mostly second gear, and that was on the B series GSR transmission, and then some of third gear. So we'll see how it is on this.
Yeah, a lot of folks go out there and they just go all the way. Like I think you just gotta modulate the brakes and really
Yeah.
just control your driving, second and third gear, not very heavy on the brakes. Like you just gotta have know how to balance between the gas pedal and also the brake pedal.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the thing is that you really can't go that fast. It's a public road, and it's the actual route some people are taking to get to and from work. It starts
Yeah.
in Tennessee, ends in North Carolina. So, you have to also know that the speed limit's like 35. So if you're going to go spirited driving, you got to be careful what you do there. So
Exactly, yeah.
And overall, it's fun, just the experience of taking those many turns, because and then you're coming over turns and you don't even know what's over that next turn.
Yeah, we'll post more information on Instagram page. Definitely follow us, and also Classic Honda on the Dragon. You'll have a lot more information. We start on October the 8th on a Saturday. We're gonna be one of the vendor. We're gonna have a booth there. We're gonna have a car meet in the morning. Then we're gonna go to the Dragon,
And then meet at the Fontana Dam, I believe.
and then Sunday also in another meetup.
Yeah, at the Fontana Dam as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a super exciting event. I'm personally very excited. I've never been there, heard so many good things about it. He's been there already, and he's been telling me how good it is, which is super, super cool. And on the next episode, I think we're ready now for our dyno.
Yeah, so I
dyno.
know a lot of people have been asking about that. I've been on some of the forums, checking in, people keeping them up to date, and everyone wants to know, like, what do these mods do? And we're going to give it to you guys as thoroughly as possible. We're going to flash the car back to stock, give you a stock map. We're going to give you a K-Tuner base map. And then we got a special treat, I think, to throw on top. We have...
I'm just going to give it to him.
Just give it to him, give it to him.
Shout out to Faribault, sent us a tune. So we're going to do 3 different dyno, I guess, runs or
Yeah.
pulls. We're going to do a base, one with the stage 2 K-tuners, the
Yeah.
software that comes with, and also with a Faribault. The only issues I think that we're going to run into is the temperature. I mean, we are still at 80, 90 degree out there. So inside the dyno shop, it's got to be 100 degree, and you guys knows how important is the ambient temperature.
Oh yeah, once that, and not to mention our humidity is it's through the roof,
still.
so the DA is real high. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not optimal dynoing thing or at times,
Yeah.
but the other thing is we need to make sure the car is rich enough for when we go way up in the mountains. So a little fat on the tune with the fuel is safe for us as well. We did that when I took the DA. So
Absolutely, guys. This is pretty much for this episode. Definitely stay tuned for the next one. We got so much cool stuff coming for on this Integra and so much other things. So definitely stay on. Make sure subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. My name is Mike, and I got John right over there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.